Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jason, and along with my wife Jen, we retired in the summer of 2021 and moved out to our approximately 60 acres here in Maine. Now in today's video, we're going to be working on a project that we've been planning for several years, and that is to build a nice big deck in the back of our cabin. Now the deck that we're building is a 16 by 6. It is going to be right here behind me. Prior to this build, we did have a small deck that we had built as a temporary deck, but this year we're going to be building our permanent deck here, which is actually a third of the larger deck that will actually circle the front of the cabin here. For now, we're going to be working on this section. The first thing that we have to do is work on the foundation. Now, however, that's going to take me a little while, and unlike the temporary decks that we built, we are staining all of the lumber that we'll be using. And so what I'm going to work on first, before I start working on the foundation, is all of the 2x6s and the 4x4s that we'll be using for the deck itself. And we're going to go ahead and get all of that stuff stained so that it can dry while we're working on the foundation. So really the first thing I need to do is let's go get some lumber. Okay folks, now that we've got our first set of lumber here, these are 2x6s and they are 8 feet long, and these are going to make up the runners. These will actually run the length of the 16 footers. And so what we want to do first is we're going to cut these to size, and then after we've cut them, we're then going to sand them. Now the reason we want to sand them is this is rough cut lumber, and you get these hairs on the lumber, and with us wanting to stain these, we want to make sure that we have the surface is nice and smooth, or at least smoother than it is right now. That way the stain can really soak into the wood. Now the reason that we're staining is twofold. Number one, again, with this being rough cut lumber, we want to make sure that we get as many years out of this porch as we possibly can. The best way to do that is simply to stain it or protect it somehow. So typically you would probably want to purchase some treated lumber, but with this being a rough cut, again, staining it is certainly going to help protect it over the years. The second reason we want to stain it is because when rough cut lumber ages in the sun, turns gray, and we don't like the color gray, so we think that by staining it, at least aesthetically, it'll look a little appealing, and it is the same color stain as the cabin, so it'll be matching the cabin as well. So all right, so the first step here is we're going to go ahead and cut these to length, and then we're going to get to sanding. Okay, so now that we've got 4 of our boards here ready to go, the next step is we've got our stain out, we've got our drill with our mixer, so we're going to go ahead and mix this stuff up. You can see how separated it is. Oh boy. I hope this is good. see. Well, it's about as good as it's gonna get, so let's stain and see what it looks like. I don't think it came out too bad. Looks like what the stain is supposed to look like. But we're gonna let that dry and we're gonna keep cutting. Now I'm not so concerned with how it looks as much as I'm concerned with making sure we get everything stained. Primarily, again, for the first reason, and that is so that it will protect the wood. Having it look nice is a secondary, second reason we're staining. In my opinion, these things look phenomenal right now. So we're gonna let this side dry, and then we're gonna go ahead and flip them on their sides. We're gonna hit the sides on all of them, flip them on their backs, and then just keep staining them until they're all done. All these are drying. We're gonna go ahead and start working on the foundation. One of the challenges we faced the last 2 winters with our porches is frost heave. Now, unfortunately, there's just really no way to get around frost heave unless we were able to dig 4 feet down, which is not an option where we are. This time is we're gonna go ahead and use the deck blocks again, but this time we're gonna be taking 1-inch foam board and putting it underneath the blocks. Now, in theory, a 1-inch foam board is representative of about 1 foot of earth. We're going to use 3 of these on each of our blocks, which should effectively give us 3 feet of, I guess, protection. Whether it works or not, we have no idea, but it certainly is going to give us a better shot at preventing the frost heave going forward than what we had in the past, which was the deck blocks just simply sitting right on the ground. Well, let's go ahead and get our foundation together. All right, so now that we've got all of our deck blocks in place, I've already gone ahead and cut the old legs off of the old deck because we're going to be reusing these on the new build. And what I need to do now, though, is right now all of these are different sizes, and unfortunately it's just not going to work the way it is. So what I got to do is I've got to measure off of this cabin here as far as where I want the height. I'm gonna have to run some strings, get my level out, and try to mark all of these to the right height. We're gonna use a chalk line to mark them, then we'll cut them. All right, well, with the string and a string level. I think we've got the right height on all of these posts. So now we're going to go ahead and pull them. We're going to cut them, get them back installed, and see where we land. Boy, I would be lying if I didn't say it is hotter than Hades. Oh my goodness. We go from cold to rainy to hot, and it's crazy, the weather here. But that said, we got all of our posts cut down. I know they look short, and that's okay. There's going to be a 4x4 that goes across these two, each set here, and then we're going to lay the deck on top of the 4x4s. So now that I've got all of these in and they're relatively level to each other, there's a little unlevelness to it, I guess, but nothing I can't fix with a few shims. So yeah, so the next step right now is to get the 4x4s cut and get those attached to the posts here.